Number one is I'm not listening to what my seller wants to sell it for. Obviously, that's a guide, like a benchmark, right? Like anyone, we want to have as much money as possible. But I think the difference is I'm going in clear, organized, and letting them know where market value is, and I'm not beating around the bush. If their market value is 100K lower, 150K lower, I'm gonna say, hey, sorry that I'm gonna have to tell you this, but this is where it is. Especially in this market, I'm not trying to on overpriced listings or sellers that are not working with, I don't feel like we're a great fit, right? Because the difference is that we do a lot of, marketing on our stuff. We do a lot of content if you guys watch our social media. But I think it comes down to being real with your clients and letting them know what the real price is and giving them one or two strategies to get the price that they want. But it comes down to like being real, communicating your skill sets again, communicating, showcasing, showing that you're a professional with sales that are very similar in what they're selling for, and just having a great marketing plan. So I mean, there's a bunch of things, but I would just say expectations, like get your clients' expectations in check, and if they're not in check, you know that you're going to get something and sit on the market and it's going to be painful because every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it's going to be painful conversations. Why am I not getting showings? Why am I not doing this? Well, if you're not getting, showings, the market's telling you you're overpriced. We may not feel like it, but the market's telling us that. So either we're going to change our price to where market value is currently, or we're going to sit here and not get showings. And if we do get an offer, guess what? They're going to eat us alive. So it's just client expectations.
So I'm sitting there with all these listings and the traffic is a lot slow. We're priced bang on. And I'm like, all right, well, I got to get people in the door. So normally we do open houses, of course, Saturdays or Sundays. But I'm like, well, then I guess I'm doing pop-up open houses during the week. I mean, I just more time blocking, more getting this out there. I always open up my listings to everybody here as well in the brokerage. So if I can't physically be there, other people can. We started doing Monday 4 to 6. We started doing Wednesdays 12 to 2, 12 to 4. And an interesting thing happened. On the Monday 4 to 6, we were just closing up. I was about 1 minute to 6. Like, I was just kind of carrying everything outside and a car pulls up. And this was our first person. We didn't have anybody during this particular pop-up open house. So this car pulls up. I immediately go to the window. I'm like, are you coming to check it out? They're like, yeah. I'm like, come on in. And this literally family of seven popped in and they said to us, when we saw on realtor.ca that you were having an open house Monday 4 to 6, we thought it was a mistake, but we came anyways. And I'm like, no, I said, you know what? I said, I'm just trying to make the house open as often as I possibly can. And they said this, and I'm like, wow, 30 years in the industry, and I never really thought of it like this. They said every agent has open houses around the same time, Saturdays and Sundays. And we're not telling our agent that we want them to book us tours to take us through. We're going through open houses and we can't physically make it to all the open houses on a Saturday and Sunday. So they were like, we were so thankful because this was on the top of our list. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. So for the entire rest of the year, if any of you follow me on social media, we do pop-up open houses every single week for that reason. Because in this industry, never say never. You never know who's going to walk through that door. And that became me doing an additional critical thinking of how else can I get people in this property? And it's become a standard thing. And I'm telling you, our sellers love it, right? It's an additional service. So food for thought for everybody here.
But one approach that I think we should all share with you guys as far as the skill set and just having something to use in your arsenal, when you sit down with that seller to take the list, and I take my laptop and I will show the active pending sale, close sale in that subdivision. And I'll say to the seller, okay, what did you have in mind? Because I see that the price range of the value is between this and that. Between. I don't say this. I say between this and this. Where did you have it in mind? And they say, okay, I have this much in mind. Okay, wonderful. Well, take a look. Let's look together. Come here. Look. You're going to land there, and there's going to be at least 3 or 4 other properties above you, below you. How fast do you want to sell? Oh, you want to sell real fast? Well, let's go below the last one that's active in the price market and go in that way. So one of the things I discovered this year was try to encourage the sellers to take a listing price that's below market value. And that means doing the seller's net sheet right there on the spot. Really and truly, what's your motivation? How much money you want from here? Where you're going? Oh, you're going to go buy something different? Instead of getting 150 taken out your pocket, what do you think about 120? How much value does 120 have for you in 30 days?
Yeah.
Get it? And just kind of show them that money, because it's brutal, but you have to be factual. And next year, it's going to be even more brutal. So be smart, in my opinion. Be very smart.
It's your pricing strategy. There's a ton of agents out there that will just go and let the sellers dictate their wants, needs, because they feel like they're going to lose the agent feels like they're going to lose something, but all they're gaining is a bunch of frustration, because like Nick said, you have to have those conversations that are brutal. But if you walk in there and you're upfront and honest with people, that's what sellers are looking for. They're not looking for you to agree with them and overprice them. They have a life that they want to move on with. And when you look at why people put their homes on the market, they're going through usually something personal. Nobody just wakes up and says, oh, I'm just going to put my home on the market just for the hell of it. They have a reason behind it. And we cannot look at these people as going to our sales meeting and saying, I got a listing in my pocket. I want to be at the sales meeting and say, I got a sale in my pocket, right? So the more honest we are with our clients, that's where the rubber meets the road. Because if you walk away from a listing, because again, like I popped in the chat, sales happen whenever that opportunity and expectation marry. So if you have a price that's out there that's not meeting the buyer's expectations, it's not going to sell. But if you know what is out there and okay, so you have 10 active homes that are within a price range, but so-and-so, your seller wants this number. Well, what are you giving that they couldn't get in this house? You have to be positioned in the market to be the most appealing in that price range. It's really not rocket science.
True.
It's you either want to sell or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want a listing that's not going to sell. I like you, but I don't like you 6 months to a year from now.
And
I
wasting
like
money
you
and time.
whenever you get a contract, right? And they like you when you get a contract.
One thing that we've been doing with my team in listing presentations just in the last 4 or 5 months is instead of doing a CMA, we're building a case study. So every listing that's comparable to that house, we build a full case study on that property and we present that to the sellers. So a case study is a deep dive into why something happened for a particular reason. So instead of just doing a CMA, I'm showing 123 Main Street and 423 Second Street, and I'm presenting how long it took to sell, how good the marketing was, how whatever, and why it sold and how many days it took to sell and at what price it sold for. And I'm building out a full case study of why it took 34 days to sell this house for this price, and it took 14 days to sell this house for that price.
Beautiful.
So that's what I meant by case study.
And I'm showing them all the, like, you know, if something listed and change price like 4 or 5 times, I'm sure you're showing that.
Oh man, I'm talking like I'm showing them if an agent took pictures with their cell phone, if a proper description was terrible, if the price ended in a 9, whatever I think contributed to longer days on market or lower sale price, I'm building out a full repertoire of why it took this long to sell for this price for every property.
Another thing that I'm doing with like some sellers are not getting it right now is I'm booking showings. Okay, no problem. You feel like your house is worth 900 in this community? No problem. Let me show you your competition. And then you still tell me if your house is still priced then. And if you're saying yes, then you're lying to me.
So you take them out to look at houses?
Like a couple. Like I'm talking about the ones that are really, really tough.
Brilliant.
I don't know how many of you here were selling in the US during the economic meltdown of 2008, but at that time, literally, I probably turned down half as many listings as I actually took because people just couldn't get their property sold. And one of the things I learned very quickly is that I had to quickly determine whether or not a seller was simply motivated by their unrealistic number or if they actually had a solid underlying motivation to sell and move. Because if they were only motivated or heavily motivated by their unrealistic number on their property, it wasn't going to work out. So when you're talking to your sellers, try and figure that out and even have the conversation straight up with them, right? If the market won't bear what you thought it would, does that change your motivation to do X? So let's just ask them that.